This is the Michael Medved Show.
It is 44 minutes after the hour on the Michael Medved Show. And what a pleasure to welcome another old friend and a friend of this show, I'm proud to say, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Dr. Jasser is a naval officer. It is U.S. Navy, is it not?
Yes, I was in for 11 years.
11 years serving our country in uniform. He is also the leader of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, that is AIFD. He is a proud and committed American Muslim patriot. And I add that because there are a lot of people, and too many people here at CPAC, who seem to think that being a committed Muslim and being a committed patriot are incompatible.
Yeah, that's, it's great to be with you again, Michael. And, that's the message I brought now for my fourth year here at CPAC, is that this audience really needs to hear that there are Muslims that are here because our families are more free to practice our faith than in any so-called Muslim country, that we can do things here. And also, as a result, we have a responsibility, an ethical responsibility, to take on the Islamism, the theocracy within our faith that is radicalizing our communities globally. So it's refreshing to have a president that is willing to identify the problem, but as a physician, I'll tell you, you can make the diagnosis, but you need the treatment.
Right.
And the treatment has to be what we're for. We have to promote. It's time to not only say we're going to annihilate ISIS, because we could do that in 6 months, as General Mattis has already begun, but there's going to be another ISIS in 2 years, 3 years. It'll keep coming back unless we Muslims take that opportunity of where we are in history, which is, as our founding fathers in America were fighting theocracy. That's where we are now. So the cauldrons that brew this, that are our so-called allies, are not only the firefighters, but the Saudis, the Pakistani Islamic Republic, the Iranian Republic. These are the arsonists also in this fire that keeps coming back. So we have to be the adults globally and promote ideas of what we are for, being freedom and liberty.
I wanted to play something that President Trump said today in his speech. And Jeremy, I'd go to the last clip that we had isolated. It's President Trump talking about globalism, and get a response from Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. We have that one, Jeremy?
Global cooperation, dealing with other countries, getting along with other countries is good. It's very important. But there is no such thing as a global anthem, a global currency, or a global flag. This is the United States of America that I'm representing. I'm not representing the globe. I'm representing your country.
I think it was very effective rhetoric for President Trump, and he speaks for all of us, really. I mean, Pat Buchanan actually used to say that I'm not a citizen of the world, I'm a citizen of the United States of America. Is there a danger in carrying any of that too far?
So let me thread this needle for you. On the one hand, the reason I turned out the way I did, Michael, is because the only thing I'd ever die for is America. I would never die for the Quran. I'd never die for an Islamic State. So this nationalism, or patriotism better said, that made me who I am, the belief in freedom, is the belief that Americanism is an idea. Now, having said that, hyper-nationalism, isolationism, saying that America doesn't have a role in the world, that we're basically just self-interested, will leave those vacuums globally to get filled by the genocidal Assads, the Russias of the world, the Chinas of the world, who aren't moral countries and don't have moral militaries. So I fear that hyper-nationalism that makes us retreat within, like the Buchanan mantra, will allow the vacuums to get filled, and eventually, not only will we be threatened at our shores in the future, but globally the world will shrivel up with autocracy, kleptocracies, and theocracies when the world's leaders of freedom do not push that abroad through media, engagement, and a belief that we do have the best ideas for society.
It's beautifully said, and I agree with everything that you've just said. This is very pertinent to me right now, and I know that you as a religious Muslim, myself as a religious Jew, I believe that America doesn't exist by accident, that this is part of God's plan, that God has a special purpose for our country. And part of that purpose is not just to be a good place for American citizens, it's to make a difference in the world. America First and I've been trying to formulate this in my own mind, and just before the show I realized that the best way that I know to formulate it is America first can't be America only. Because our country, for better or worse, because of this tremendous power and success we've enjoyed in the United States, we impact every other country on earth. Every human being who's brought into this amazing planet is dependent to some extent on American success, no?
Absolutely. And it's the American dream is what we're talking about. That city on a hill that Lincoln talked about is that every individual across the planet sees us as a place they can come to, they can emulate, and take their creativity and allow it to thrive with free markets, with an individual preeminence over the tribe, over the collective. That is what the Western Enlightenment was about. That's what Locke. I've written a piece and did a podcast last week about the need for a John Locke in Islam, which is the father of liberalism. And this is the issue, is that not only do we need to talk about what we are against, but America will wither away if we don't reboot what we're for, not only domestically but abroad. And we see every minority is suffering. The attacks against synagogues and the anti-Semitism. It's nice to hear the president condemn that, but I'd also like to hear him say, well, the way to prevent that is not only just to condemn it, but to bring us together as a solid whole that defends individual rights of every minority and the majority's ideas for freedom and liberty.
And one of the things that struck me, and I don't know if you know any background on this, the story of those gravestones that were desecrated and knocked over, 150 of them. It's a lot of gravestones. At a very historic Jewish cemetery in St. Louis, there was a Muslim group, group of Muslim activists who raised money to repair them. That's America.
There's nothing more American than that, and the vice president did really right by that image of him helping pick those up. And we have a role not only domestically, but if you don't want to see anti-Semitism spreading more and more globally, Islamism needs to be defeated, and Muslims who believe in liberty can do that, and our Muslim reform movement is about that.
Oh, people can get in touch with that Muslim reform movement with Dr. Zuhdi Jasser and the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. We're going to link their information right at our website at michaelmedved.com.